You just finished a meal an hour ago. And already, you're thinking about the next one. That's not weakness. That's not a broken willpower switch. That's a 50,000-year-old operating system running on hardware it was never designed for. But here's the strange part. Your ancestors ate constantly. All day, almost every day, whenever food appeared. Berries in the morning. Roots by midday. Meat when the hunt succeeded. Insects, tubers, whatever the land offered, eaten on the spot, no plates, no portions, no guilt. And yet obesity, as you understand it, simply did not exist in their world. Not because they had more willpower than you. Not because they were somehow purer. The real answer is far stranger, and it has almost nothing to do with what they ate. It has to do with what their bodies were actually doing with the energy once it arrived. Think about that for a second. Two people can eat the exact same number of calories in a day. One gains weight. One doesn't. Why? For decades, the assumption was simple. Eat less, move more, and the math balances out. Burn more calories than you take in, and the fat disappears. But anthropologist Herman Poncer spent years living among the Hadza, a hunter-gatherer community in Tanzania, strapping monitors to their bodies to measure exactly how many calories they burned in a day. What he found broke the simple math completely. The Hadza were walking for miles, digging, climbing, carrying, hunting, constantly physical, far more active than the average person sitting at a desk today. And yet, when Poncer measured their total daily energy expenditure, it was nearly identical to that of a sedentary office worker in Boston or London. Nearly identical. Despite a massive difference in movement. How is that possible? The body, it turns out, is not a simple machine that burns calories in direct proportion to how much you move. It's an adaptive system. A budget. When physical activity goes up, Poncer found, the body quietly pulls energy away from other processes. It dials down inflammation. It adjusts reproductive hormones. It fine-tunes stress response systems. The total spending stays roughly the same. Only where the money goes changes. This is called the constrained energy expenditure model, and it rewired how scientists think about human metabolism. Your ancestors weren't burning more total energy because they moved more. Their bodies were reallocating energy, spending it on movement instead of on the low-grade chronic processes that, in modern humans, quietly contribute to weight gain, inflammation, and disease. So if total calories burned wasn't wildly different, what was? This is where it gets interesting. Because the difference wasn't really about quantity. It was about rhythm. Ancient humans didn't eat in a steady, predictable stream the way convenience allows you to today. Their eating was irregular by necessity. Some days brought abundance, a large kill, a fruiting tree discovered at just the right moment. Other days brought almost nothing. Feast, then scarcity. Feast, then scarcity again. This wasn't a diet plan. It was simply reality, dictated by weather, migration, luck, and season. And that irregularity mattered enormously for how the body processed food. Researcher S. Boyd Eaton, one of the earliest scientists to formally study what's now called the Paleolithic nutrition pattern, argued that human metabolism evolved under conditions of unpredictable food availability, not constant abundance. The body's insulin response, its fat storage mechanisms, its hunger signals, all of it calibrated to a world where food didn't show up on a schedule. Periods without eating weren't stressful anomalies. They were simply Tuesday. Compare that to now. A world where food is available at every hour, in every form, requiring zero effort to obtain. Where you can eat at midnight without walking a single step. Your body still expects the old rhythm. It still expects gaps. It still expects some days of less. When those gaps disappear entirely, something breaks in the signaling. Insulin stays elevated more often. Fat storage pathways stay switched on longer. The body never gets the metabolic exhale it evolved to expect. But rhythm was only half the story. The other half was what, exactly, they were eating when they did eat. Modern food is engineered for a very specific outcome, to be eaten quickly, in large volume, without triggering fullness. Strip away the fiber, concentrate the sugar, add fat and salt in combinations rarely found in nature, and you get something the brain struggles to regulate. Ancient food fought back against you the whole way through. Roots required hours of digging. Meat required a successful hunt, then processing, then cooking. Even honey, one of the few naturally concentrated sugar sources available, came wrapped in angry bees defending a hive 30 feet up a tree. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham, known for his research into the role cooking played in human evolution, pointed out something easy to miss. Cooking itself was already a technology that changed how efficiently the body could extract calories from food. Before fire, a huge portion of daily effort went simply into chewing and digesting raw, fibrous plant material. Once cooking arrived, calories became easier to access. But the food itself still required real effort to acquire in the first place. There was no drive-through. There was no wrapper. Getting the calorie always cost something. That cost was, quietly, one of the most important variables in the entire system. Effort was baked into acquisition. Now it isn't. Here's a question worth sitting with. If you had to walk 6 miles and dig for 2 hours to earn a single sweet potato, would you still eat as many calories as you do now? Probably not. Not because you'd be exercising more discipline. Because the entire economy of effort and reward that governs appetite would be operating exactly the way it evolved to operate. There's a third piece too, one that gets less attention than diet or movement, but may matter just as much: the gut itself. Researchers studying the Hadza's gut microbiome, including work led by Justin Sonnenberg and colleagues at Stanford, found something remarkable. Their gut bacteria were dramatically more diverse than the average person eating a modern industrialized diet. Not slightly more diverse. Dramatically. And the composition shifted seasonally, changing with what food was actually available at different times of year. That diversity isn't a curiosity. It's functional. A more diverse microbiome processes fiber differently, produces different metabolic byproducts, and appears to influence everything from inflammation levels to how efficiently the body extracts and stores energy from food. Modern diets, narrow in variety and stripped of the fibers, seasonal plant matter ancient humans relied on, tend to starve that diversity out. Fewer species of bacteria. Fewer functions performed. A quieter, less resilient internal ecosystem. So put it together. Constant activity that recalibrated the whole energy budget rather than simply burning more fuel. A feast-and-scarcity rhythm the body was built to expect and regulate around. Food that demanded real physical effort before a single calorie could be consumed. And a gut ecosystem shaped by variety and unpredictability rather than sameness. None of these, on their own, fully explain why obesity was virtually absent in that world. But together, they describe a system in near total alignment with itself. Body, environment, and food source, all speaking the same language, all calibrated to the same ancient expectations. You don't live in that world anymore. Almost no one does. Food arrives without effort. It arrives constantly, at any hour, in forms specifically engineered to bypass the very fullness signals your ancestors relied on. Movement is optional, hidden behind a choice rather than built into the requirement of staying alive. And still, underneath all of it, the same wiring persists. The same hunger signals, the same fat storage pathways, the same gut ecosystem, still running on assumptions written into your biology tens of thousands of years ago. This isn't a reason for guilt. It was never a story about discipline in the first place. It's a story about mismatch. About a body exquisitely tuned to one kind of world, now operating inside a completely different one. You just finished a meal an hour ago. And already, you're thinking about the next one. That's not weakness. That's an ancient rhythm, still counting the hours, still waiting for a world that no longer exists.